This is Part 2 Episode 123. Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change, First Change. Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change, Second Change. Two cries sounded one after another within Xiao Yang's heart, causing the dou qi within his body to suddenly soar. The surrounding solidified space had also become much more relaxed. Skyfire 3 Mysterious Change, Third Change. Xiao Yang's vicious eyes looked at old Mu Jiyu with a ferocious smile on his face. He inhaled a deep breath of air. The seals formed by his hands changed once again, as he prepared to use all of his strength. Just as Xiao Yang's hand seal was formed, the space in front of him strangely distorted. Immediately, a strong figure stepped out of the distorted space and stood in front of Xiao Yang like a metal tower. A vast, calm breath suddenly surged out of the strong body like a sweeping storm when it appeared. This kind of feeling was as though the one in front was not a person, but instead, a sky-supporting mountain. He, murdering openly in my territory. You really don't give me any face, do you? The figure had just appeared when he let out a rough laugh in front of Xiao Yang's stunned eyes. After which, the figure clenched his 5 fingers tightly. A punch without any fancy moves was suddenly thrown, and it heavily collided with the large claw. Bang! The two collided. The crystal-like large claw, which possessed an unusually great strength, had been forced back by over a dozen meters. After which, it flew through the air and vaguely revealed some cracks. Who has come? This sudden unexpected change caused old Mu Jiyu to cry out furiously after being startled. That strong man had yet to say anything after old Mu Gu's cry sounded, when an alluring laughter suddenly resounded over the forest. Old fellow, I will not care if you chase after the others. However, you cannot kill Xiao Yang. Yang. Xiao Yang, who was in a stunned state, was immediately even more startled when he heard this familiar voice. Joy quickly surged into his eyes. Old Mu Gu's expression slightly changed when he heard the clear and loud voice that resounded over the forest. His eyes swept around before suddenly shooting to the tree branch of a large tree, only to see a purple-clothed little girl there. Both of her legs were gently swinging. Even with old Mu Gu's calmness, he was involuntarily startled when he saw this little girl. His eyes were covered with shock. Those who could enter the pill realm were all alchemists that participated in the pill gathering. However, this little girl in front was clearly not one of them. Just how did she enter this place? The purple-clothed little girl ignored the surprised gaze of old Mu Jiyu. Her small hand pressed against the tree branch and her lovely, small body leaped down from high above. After which, it gently landed in front of Xiao Yang. She involuntarily laughed when she saw Xiao Yang's stunned expression, before giving him a strange face. Her lovely and pretty actions were really likable. Yang, why are you here? The shock within Xiao Yang's eyes lasted for a good amount of time, before gradually disappearing. He grabbed this little girl, who had disappeared for quite a while, and pulled her to his side. After which, he carefully looked at her. Her jade carving appearance was as cute as it was before, giving her an appearance similar to a porcelain doll. I have escaped. I knew that you were participating in the pill gathering, so I came here to wait for you. Yang smiled like a little fox. Both of her eyes narrowed into a crescent shape. I have been very pitiful. After having left, I no longer had any tasty yawan. Every day, those hateful fellows would pour some disgusting stuff for me to eat. Yang grabbed Xiao Yang's clothes. Her large watery eyes immediately became moist. Her life during this period of time was really too awful from her point of view. It was just like a life in hell when compared to the times she was beside Xiao Yang. Therefore, she had hurriedly took the opportunity to flee once she had the chance to do so. Your tribe members? Xiao Yang was astonished before he immediately understood something. After which, he asked in a surprised manner. Yang violently nodded. From the looks of it, she greatly hated the way her tribe members treated her. However, if those members of her tribe came to be aware of this, they would likely be so furious that they would end up spitting out blood. In this world, one was not rewarded for being a good person. Xiao Yang helplessly shook his head. He did understand Yang's character. Every word was exaggerated many times over when spoken from her mouth. Hence, he did not really believe these words of hers. As for whatever thing that was being fed to her, at the very least, this girl appeared quite lively. She was undoubtedly many times better than when she had left back then. Hey, have you finished chatting? Little grandaunt, this fellow is not someone easy to deal with." That strongly built man turned his head somewhat impatiently and spoke to the two while Xiao Yan and Ziyang were chatting. TL. Grand aunt in this case refers to a woman that was difficult to serve. Big fellow, there is no need for you to be anxious. Go and beat him. Your task will be considered nearly over once you finish him off. Ziyang curled her small mouth before pointing at the gloomy-faced old Mu Jiyu a short distance away. She instructed in a crisp voice. That large man and old Mugu's faces involuntarily twitched when they heard her words. You really think quite highly of me. It is already not bad that I can block him. If not for my constitution, I would not be able to beat him. The large man helplessly replied. He appeared quite speechless when it came to the task Ziyang had assigned him. May I know who this friend is? Xiao Yang looked at him. He smiled, cupped his hands together, and inquired politely. He is called Xiong. I call him Big Fellow. He is the chief of this 10,000 medicinal mountain range. All of the natural treasures in this place are managed by him. Ziyang laughed. A greediness flashed across her watery eyes. That large man called Xiong involuntarily shuddered when he heard Ziyang's words. He thought of the precious medicinal ingredients being eaten by Ziyang as tidbits. This little fellow was really someone who wasted treasures. Chief. Xiao Yang's heart was slightly startled. If one put it this way, would this Xiong not be that ultimate beast talked about by Song Qing's group? This friend, it is really not my intention to barge into this mountain. The old me shall apologize to you if I have offended you in any way. However, this person is a target that I must capture. I hope that you will not interfere. Old Mu Jiyu a short distance away finally spoke with a gloomy face. Although Xiong's level was inferior to him, his fighting strength was extremely shocking. It was impossible to tell just who would end up dying to whose hands. Xiong rolled his eyes upon hearing this. After which, he responded in an irritated manner, You have heard what this little grandaunt said earlier. I must protect this person. Why don't we do it this way? I will not bother about you barging into the mountain, and you should just turn around and leave. What do you say? The corner of old Mugu's mouth twitched. His eyes gradually became cold. This time around, he had the intention of capturing Xiao Yang at any costs. The hindrance of anyone would not be able to shake his determination. In that case, old Mu Jiyu became silent for a moment. A fierce glint suddenly surged within his eyes as he yelled in a dense voice, You can go and die. The dense voice had just sounded when old Mu Jiyu waved his sleeves. That crystal hand, which had been forced back by Xiong earlier, once again rushed out. Within a flash, the hand appeared in front of Xiong. The large hand was tightly clenched, forming a fist that violently smashed at the Xiong's head. The wind from the fist had arrived before the punch did. That terrifying fist wind caused the ground under Xiong's feet to sink by nearly 2 feet despite them being a great distance apart. An enormous fist imprint appeared on the ground. The old me has dominated for so many years. I have not met anyone who dares tell me to go and die. Who do you think you are? A fierceness flashed across Xiong's face when he saw old Mu Jiyu attacking at the first sign of a disagreement. His fist was clenched tightly and a deep yellow energy surged out of his body. A fist was violently thrown out, and it chose the most direct, non-fanciful method to collide with the large crystal fist. The two violently collided and a terrifying ripple rushed out with lightning-like speed. All the grass within a 100-meter radius were cut by half a foot. Some of the gigantic trees' trunks were cut. A large amount of sawdust erupted from the spot where they broke. Xiao Yang's eyes and hands were swift. When that forceful ripple erupted, he had hugged Ziyang and moved his body. After which, he rushed to the sky, lowered his head, and looked at a patch of yellow soil that had appeared within the vast sea of trees. He was involuntarily a little speechless. It was indeed worthy of a battle between the Dozun class. Such a great destructive strength had been created by just a raise of one's hand. Xiong ended up taking 2 steps back, within the forest now permeated by dust. The ground shook each time his feet landed. This continued 2 times before he managed to completely stabilize his body. He immediately raised his head, and his eyes were unusually hot, as he looked at old Mu Jiyu across from him. He cried out, All right, it is enjoyable. Again. Old Mugu's expression turned dark and cold. He glanced at the large crystal claw that was once again sent flying. One could see the cracks on it had become denser. The fighting strength of this Xiao Yan is really great. In what way is he just an expert that has half a foot into the Dozun class, as Song Qing had mentioned? From the looks of it, he has likely already advanced to the Dozun class. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to face old Mu Jiyu head-on without too much of a disadvantage. Xiao Yang softly spoke. Surprise involuntarily flashed across his eyes when he looked at the battle below. The big fellow has already advanced to the Dozun class a couple of years ago. Zi Yang, who was in Xiao Yang's embrace, curled her mouth and revealed some information. It is fortunate that I did not listen to Song Qing while he was fanning the flames. Having only half a foot into the Dozun class, and completely entering the Dozun class were two completely different concepts. With the lineup of Song Qing earlier, they would only deliver themselves to death by going there. Xiao Yang involuntarily smacked his tongue when he heard this. This Song Qing was indeed untrustworthy. On the yellow soil that was being forcefully created, old Mugu's eyes were dark and dense as he stared at Xiao Yan, who had a face filled with the intent to battle. Some killing intent also flashed across his heart. The level of difficulty in dealing with Xiao Yan had far exceeded his expectations. However, this was impossible to get him to give up. Immediately, his shriveled hands rolled out of his sleeves and began to form seals with lightning-like speed. Nether Demon Firearm. A deep blue flame swiftly erupted from old Mugu's body like a volcano following the cold cry emitted. It immediately surged into the large crystal claw. With an increasing amount of deep blue flames surging into the large crystal claw, one could see the lines on the surface of the large claw gradually mend. A deep blue arm of fire was slowly extended from the back of the large claw. The flame rose, causing this arm to give others a kind of extremely cold feeling. It appeared just like the arm of a death god. A grave expression flashed across Xiao Yan's face when he saw the large arm with deep blue-colored fire lingering over it. A low roar was emitted from his throat. The large hand trembled slightly. Those who hinder this venerable self shall die. A dark chilly expression flashed across old Mugu's eyes. His hand seal suddenly changed and that large flame arm immediately rushed up. After which, it appeared just like a meteorite as it ruthlessly smashed down on the spot where Xiao Yan was located. The space along the way suddenly crumbled, revealing many dark black spatial holes. The large fire hand rushed down. When it was a certain distance away, the flame on it suddenly soared. The large fire hand also swelled with the wind. In an instant, it had transformed into something nearly 100 feet around. An enormous dark shadow covered the forest within a 100-meter radius. Roar! Xiao Yan let out a ferocious roar to the sky after sensing the hot energy pressure that was being transmitted from it. His body also began to swell with a swoosh-swoosh sound at this instant. Dark black, long hair surged out of his body in all directions. Finally, he tightly clenched his enormous fist. A glaring, deep yellow energy surged out like floodwater. At this instant, Xiao Yan appeared to have merged with this enormous mountain, using the strength of the mountain to unleash a shocking strike. The large fire hand rushed down. An instant later, it collided with Xiao Yan's enormous fist. The mountain shook and all the beasts trembled as a result. An earth-shaking sound suddenly reverberated over the entire mountain like a thunderous roar from the sky. A terrifying energy storm formed at this moment. After which, it swept in all directions. The entire mountain trembled under this ferocious energy storm. Numerous 10-foot-wide fissures swiftly spread. After which, they stretched to the edge of one site. This sudden energy storm that had erupted attracted the attention of the many high-rank magical beasts on the mountain top. However, all of them were greatly shocked when they sensed just how frightening this energy storm was. After which, their footsteps hurriedly rushed away from the mountain. A battle of this level was not something they could get involved in. The spreading energy ripple easily flattened nearly half of the forest on this mountain. A 1,000-foot-wide pit gradually appeared within Xiao Yang's sight. Hiss! Even with Xiao Yang's calm demeanor, he involuntarily inhaled a breath of cool air as he stared at the bottomless pit that was nearly 1,000 feet in size. Such terrifying destructive strength was indeed worthy of the battle between members of the Dozun class. Permeating yellow dust had just risen into the air when it was blown away by the wild wind. Xiao Yang's eyes swiftly swept over the area below. After which, they paused on the body of old Mu Jiyu, who was suspended in the air. At this moment, the chest of old Mu Jiyu rose and fell slightly. His breathing was no longer as calm as it was before. Clearly, that attack had exhausted him. Where is Xiao Yan? Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly searched. He looked at the bottomless pit as his brows slightly knit. Inside it, Ziyang's finger pointed to the interior of the deep pit. Her watery, large eyes contained a flickering purple-colored glint. Roar! Ziyang's voice had just sounded when a soul-stirring roar suddenly erupted from the pit. After which, it transformed into a substance-like sonic wave that spread apart with a bang. It once again sent a deep layer of yellow soil on the ground flying. Bang! The roar slowly weakened. After which, the entire mountain suddenly began to tremble. Numerous thunderous muffled vibrations were emitted from that deep pit. The expression of old Mu Jiyu changed when he heard this sound. His dark, cold eyes were focused on the seemingly bottomless pit. Boom! Another terrifyingly loud sound suddenly appeared. Immediately, an incomparably large body leaped out of the deep pit like an enormous tower. After which, it suddenly landed on the ground. The entire mountain violently shook when his feet landed on the ground. A shocked expression involuntarily flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes as he looked at the enormous being that had leaped out of the deep pit. That thing that had revealed itself was a 100-meter-large bear. The large bear was black in color, and the fur all over its body stood like metal needles. There were 8 silver hairlines on the chest of the large bear. However, the thing that surprised Xiao Yang the most was the 20-meter-long black-colored tail behind it. When this giant tail was swung, it was accompanied by the sound of wind splitting apart. From the looks of it, this tail was just like a dragon's tail. This is ancient dragon bear. Xiao Yang's eyes swept over the silver-colored hairlines on the chest of the large bear before immediately focusing on the dragon tail behind it. A glow flickered in his eyes as he muttered to himself. A dragon bear was a ferocious magical beast that was extremely rare to find, because it was considered a unique beast of the ancient times. Moreover, its body vaguely possessed a dragon's blood, and it possessed a terrifying strength. Based on what was recorded in the ancient texts, this kind of dragon bear was also called nine-line demon dragon bear. The silver-colored hairlines on their chests was not merely for appearance's sake. Instead, it was used to judge its strength. It is rumored that when this dragon bear possesses 9 dragon lines, the dragon bloodline within its body will completely awaken. At that time, the dragon bear would undergo a transformation. If the transformation was a success, it would evolve into the ultimate dragon bear. Once it evolved, all it needed to do was raise its hand to shatter mountains and crack the lands. Hence, these kinds of hairlines were also called dragon lines. The current Xiao Yan already possessed 8 dragon lines. If another were to appear, this large fellow would become the ultimate demon bear renowned for its ferocity even during ancient times. It is unexpected that I am actually able to see a dragon bear here, how incredible. Xiao Yang involuntarily shook his head and sighed. It is only a dragon bear. It is only strong because of the hint of its dragon bloodline. Ziyang, who was in Xiao Yang's embrace, curled her mouth slightly as she replied. By being able to possess the dragon bloodline, it is enough to state its strength. Bloodline is really too important to magical beasts. When I had just arrived in the Central Plains back then, someone from the Heavenly Demon Phoenix tribe had nearly found the Heavenly Demon Phoenix essence blood in my storage ring. Xiao Yang smiled and spoke as he suddenly recalled the events at the Wind Lightning Pavilion back then. Heavenly Demon Phoenix. They hurt you. Ziyang's small hands, which were hanging around Xiao Yang's neck, suddenly tightened. A glaring purple glint suddenly flashed across her watery eyes. Her small, bright red tongue gently licked her small lips. No, but I refined the wings of a heavenly demon phoenix into a flying doe technique. If I use them in the future and someone ends up recognizing them, there would indeed be some trouble. Xiao Yang's eyes stared at the enormous dragon bear as he randomly replied. Relax, if they dare to come, I'll ensure that none of them return. Ziyang's small head leaned against Xiao Yang's shoulder. She used a voice that only she could hear to softly mumble. Xiao Yang did not hear what Ziyang had said. His attention had been focused on Xiao Yan, who had transformed. Perhaps it was due to his actual body having appeared, but Xiao Yan's aura was even fiercer compared to earlier. A pair of blood-red, large eyes were staring at old Mu Jiyu, who was like an ant in the air. Again. Xiao Yan's feet suddenly stepped forward. His distorted face revealed a ferocious expression. His fist also smashed toward old Mu Jiyu. A wild wind surged across the sky. The whistling sound of wind splitting permeated the entire mountain range like a low drum beat. Even old Mu Jiyu did not dare to underestimate Xiao Yan's punch, after he had transformed into its actual form. Old Mugu's hand seal changed, and the space in front of him distorted. It quickly formed a thick spatial barrier. Bang! A large fist that was covered with black hairs violently landed on the spatial barrier. It easily blasted the spatial barrier apart. The large hand immediately spread, and the black-colored hair on Xiao Yan's hand shot like arrows in all directions. These black, sharp hairs moved at extremely terrifying speeds. With a flash, they appeared before old Mu Jiyu, and had a deep yellow energy trace. Clearly, these things might not appear great, but if one were to be struck by them, one would definitely not feel good. With old Mugu's eyesight and experience, he would naturally not slight the attack of the other party. The seal formed by his hands changed. After which, he opened his mouth and blew. A deep blue flame shot out like a fire pillar. Finally, it collided with the sharp hairs. The frightening temperature of the sea heart flame caused the hairs to quietly vaporize. They transformed into clusters of grayish ashes that flew down. This video will end here.